Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Digital of Business and Business of Digital. Today we have Troy with us, and we are going to talk about marketing strategies with him. Troy has been in this industry for last 10 years, and he has worked with clients which are like startups, SMBs, NGOs, and Fortune 100 brands. He has done work of around more than 100 million. Usually, I have seen people who have worked in a million, 2 million, 3 million bracket, or maybe a 10 million bracket. He is somebody who has worked with 100 million things. So that is why that fumble was there. But welcome, Troy. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Troy, as we were discussing, you started off with the option of maybe joining Boeing or in your after your graduation. So, for everybody who's listening, Troy also comes from an engineering background. Uh, so he is another engineer who has turned into a marketer. So we were just discussing, and he said that he had an offer from Boeing after his college, and he had an offer from a startup or a relatively very small company which was offering him marketing. And Troy, what did you do after that?
I chose marketing. I know it sounds crazy, but setting the stage, I come from a blue collar family. So my father worked at the steel mill. He's still there about 30 plus years. My mother was working at an electrical company for almost the same amount of time, 30 plus years. So when said, I'm engineering, they're proud and they're happy. They understand engineering means good money, sustainable job, be take care of myself. And I come home and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think I should do this thing called digital marketing. And at the time, there wasn't no TikTok back then. Social media wasn't is what it is now back then. It was just kind of a drop in the bucket. Still the top thing of the day was TV ads and emails and phone calls. And so making this shift in this period where I'm like, there's something here. And it's difficult when you can see something that other people can't, and you almost have to just trust your gut. Like, does this make sense? So in college, I even made the pivot, digital marketing degree with engineering background. And then when I graduated, I was looking through a lot of engineering positions. Boeing came up, had a few great conversations. It's Boeing, for goodness sake. Who doesn't want to get their start at Boeing? There's bragging rights. There's that validation to the family. Like you've done something, all that money, all that student debt. Hey, I'm working at Boeing. And so I'm going through the periods of time for interviews. I was nervous. We're getting there. Sounds pretty good. Looks like everything's running its course. At the same time, another company, a global contract manufacturer, I reached out, didn't think they would reach out. And then they did. And I'm like, oh, I got another one. I'm juggling both these jobs at the same time. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And so, you pray, you meditate, you think about it real hard. And I was just like, life, let me know what I need to do. And one door slowly sort of closed. Another door was just like, this is the one. And I pivot, and I didn't have time to wait. I made the decision, and I became a marketing manager at the company. And it was like an incubator. And the great thing about it was I was still able to use my engineering background to support the organization while performing in marketing.
So with engineering coming into picture, I have seen a lot of engineers getting into marketing, and mainly what they did at engineering helps them in the analytics part, or trying to understand what an engineer is doing at Facebook by changing the algorithms in the first place, or how to crack those things. So do you feel that there is a unsaid advantage that engineers or people from these kind of streams have while they are into marketing? So is there something which is there? Have you seen that in the market?
I honestly believe so. I think, especially if you're thinking of growth marketing specifically, but just in marketing in general, I think we're now in a world where we're demanding more of our team members. So it's not just about being able to read data, understanding research. Those are core skills that typically, if you're a marketer, you may be leaning more towards the creative side of your brain. You can create graphics, visuals. You just can make this flow. But if you could also have that analytical side, and not only that, I think if you're an engineer, you know where I'm coming from. You've tried 10,000, 100,000 ways to make one thing work in sequence one time, and you're celebrating hallelujah forever. In the same way with marketing, to be successful is just a constant series of trial and error. And I think engineers in particular just have this innate ability to keep trying despite failure, short-term memory loss. Let's try again. Let's try again. Because some people just aren't meant to handle that type of pressure and that stress. And I think if you're coming from an engineering background, that particular part of your mind and how you think is going to make you so powerful in the marketing field.
True. That is very true. With the kind of curriculum that I think US has a very different curriculum, but mostly things go hand in hand in what they do in US, and sometimes we get inspiration from them, and the colleges implement the same thing in the South Asian market also. And the rigorous curriculum that we have maybe trains us for getting all the things that we do in marketing, the experiments we do, the failures that we have, the kind of thing that we have to do. We have to do a lot of all-nighters to understand just why this Facebook ad campaign is not working or what did happen there and things like that. Very true for that. So coming on that topic of growth marketing. So again, it is I think a term which started buzzing around 2016, if I may not be wrong. And now it is there are positions. So suppose for me, my position is not chief of marketing or chief marketing officer. My position is chief of growth. So now people see growth as something which is more important than so marketing comes under the part of growth sometimes, which all people feel. And another thing which is popping up is the term called growth hacking, which was a old term which a lot of people have been using. So for from the stories of Airbnb, or we have seen case studies of Dropbox. So what is your perception or definition of growth marketing, and what is your definition of growth hacking?
Sure. So I think growth marketing, let's think of growth marketing before as like marketing 2.0. So you think of a sandwich, you add another layer to it, it's a really bigger sandwich. So if you have a pizza, it's that extra layer of toppings, right? So with growth marketing, compared to traditional, you're thinking of SEO, SEM, SERP, optimizations, creative ads, UX, UI, CX, and analyzation, all that good stuff. But growth takes it beyond that. So, you think of the four P's: product, price, place, and promotion, right? It's beyond that now, because now with everything going on and people want to demand stories and be more vulnerable, and 2020 has just shaken everything out. The brands, the businesses that are growing are the ones who are telling the best stories. Why is that? Because they are applying the four E's, being engagement, exclusivity, experience, and emotion. We're getting away from the four P's and moving to the four E's. This is the new level of growth marketing. And growth marketing, people think, well, growth marketing sounds like a lot about digital marketing, and it is. It's just digital marketing with the intent focus of making a profit and making sustainable revenue. It's that, oh, this is cute, we're creating graphics. No, those graphics need to make me money, hit my bottom line, and make sure by quarter four we're up 5%. That's the pressure that we, as those who are now coming from marketing and then rising up higher to the next level of growth, these are the higher discussions that we're having. So yes, they're a little uncomfortable. Yes, it's a lot of pressure, but if you can harness, it's not just, I think the most fulfilling moment of a marketer is when you create a campaign and it not only gets the engagement that you want, but it generates the revenue that you want or surpasses it. Because if you're looking at it, the ROI that you're investing in marketing should be like 5, 10 times you should be getting back. So the little money that you're paying for the salary, for the ads, for the visuals, whatever is involved to push it out there, you should be getting at least 10 times that back, if not more, depending on your scale of business. And so this is where we're looking at now, where analytics and data is still good. But I think if 2020 has shown us anything with this hacking now, is really the human element, because the human element is so unpredictable. We could do all the data analysis. We know our profiles. We know who would buy based off the color and the imagery and the text down to a science. And we run it and it doesn't work. And we're like, why? And we're looking at it, what happened over the course of the past week. For us in America, We have a president who likes to tweet a lot. So sometimes those conversations, those trends shift the pendulum of social media, shift the pendulum of what's on people's minds. In a traditional US market, when it comes to Christmas time, as we're in right now, we have a lot of shopping. There's still fear here because of COVID. The same thing can be seen in the UK, in India, in Australia. There's a shift in all these different things. So when you're thinking of growth, we have to understand the human. So if we know that they're feeling kind of sad and drowned, I can't just approach with the same framework I normally would work, the same blueprints I would run, the same tests, the A/B testing I would run. We get to shift it and tie it into a little bit more human element. That's really the hack of 2020. Those who tell the best stories can get the most growth.
Great point about storytelling and adding it to growth, because most of the I think people understand growth is some kind of, because the word is growth hacking. Uh,
Right.
Most of the time, people have that perception. It would be sometime like they hack people's email, they get the emails, and then they start spamming them, or there is some other technique. They so it feels, or it sounds more into a lot of technical work is there, and it is not into the creative side or maybe the marketing side a lot. So thanks a lot for clarifying that point, because that is something which people have perception about. Another thing which I have a question about is the way things have shifted due to COVID. So I always talk to people about a pre-COVID era and post-COVID era in mostly all the things that we will be seeing or doing. Because what has happened due to COVID, people have been together for a longer time due to permanent lockdowns or work from home scenarios. Uh, uh, they have been spending more time with their family. Maybe they have prioritized few things, and everybody at the end of the day feels sometimes that our lives are more important in the first place, rather than spending money on anything which is not important in our life in that way. So, do you feel the products which were being sold, or the way they were marketed earlier, uh, in the context of pre-COVID things, will that shift come drastically? Because most of the companies were shifting to storytelling format. That is true, but a lot of them were just doing hard sales. Maybe on the online platform also, they were just running ads and not handling their social media properly, not communicating anything, not trying to build community in that way. So, do you feel that shift has come, or maybe it will take few more years for everybody to understand those things?
I think it's already happening. I think, yes, the ads will still work for certain targets. If you do the numbers, hey, if I know that 20% of any ad that I push is going to work a certain way, sure, keep pushing it, keep doing it. But here's the caveat to it: you're going to run out of time. The well's going to run dry on that. Why is that, Troy? Because we've been in an incubator for almost a year now, where we're realizing we can see ads a mile away. We can just smell them. We can see the manipulation. We can see the different targeting. Oh, they're targeting me based off my interaction with various platforms. Because we're so focused. We've been on this screen so much, from our phones to our TVs to our computers, more than we've ever been in history. So yeah, we're going to see these tactics, that the quick schemes that will just get money to boost up the quarters numbers pretty good, that won't work anymore. So we really, when I say we're trying to apply storytelling now, and the brands that are going to make that shift, they're going to be more sustainable. So yeah, you think of the tortoise and the hare, the classic story. Right now in 2020, those who are still pushing the ads, you're going to look like you're killing it as the hare. But the tortoise, those who are making the shift, establishing those communities early, building that organic back up again in conjunction with the paid media, from Google to social, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, shoot, even TikTok right now. TikTok ads do not even feel like ads. They feel like regular TikToks, and it goes over everybody's head. That's why they're blowing up so much and making so much money. It doesn't feel like an ad. So when you're pushing out to get the growth, you have to use the language and the messaging to connect to the heart. And that may sound corny. I think about Captain Planet, right? You had the Planeteers, and the guy who's the heart, like, dude, you're lame. You have no power. But now he's the guy. If you have the heart of the community, if you know how to trigger the heart of your audience, your growth is going to scale. And I want to make this very clear again, because I don't think I made it very clear earlier. When you're thinking of marketing, you're only thinking of awareness and acquisition within the funnel. Usually, when you're thinking of growth, you're thinking of the entire funnel. So awareness, acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, and referral all in one. So it's again that extra layer. So when we're going back to the trends and the growth hacking of what's happening, the shifts and makers, what's going to make sense. If you're doing just paid, you're only hitting the top of the funnel at this point, just to survive. You're not establishing a cadence to get rejuvenal revenue over a period of time that you can just stack layers on to increase your margins as a startup, increase your margins as an established brand. It's a game changer that we have to focus on community now more than we've ever been to grow, because the only way we'll grow now, I have to have them in my house first and just feed them. Now I can't just be a door-to-door salesman no more. I'm going to get strike out more than I could ever begin.
One thing which our listeners should also try to understand, what Troy is talking about is the IDA model, where initially the marketers were only responsible for the awareness or interest part, and desire was something which somebody in the tech team used to take care. Then comes the activation part. It is the job of a customer service guy or somebody to get them on board and those kind of things. And then comes the sales, which is the after IDA model. But now, for growth, people in growth or people in marketing will have to see all the metrics and then try to see that if we can churn the churn which is 10% here, can we just make it 8%, or maybe increase that to 12%, 13%, or something of that sort. And that is what is now the reality of a marketer. And if somebody is still living in a dilemma of not taking or not seeing the whole thing, or so you need to start focusing on those things. And that is where I think the future is going, the way I think Troy is also explaining us, that is where we are tending to go. Troy, as we talked about TikTok, and you are somebody who has been in this industry for 10 years, so I always give that example for people who are in this industry for a longer time. They have seen rise and fall of a lot of social media platforms, a lot of panda updates coming in and ruining your SEO work of last 1 year, 2 year, and you have been through those things. So how do you make sure, maybe for your clients or maybe for a personal brand in a whole, that you bet on the right platform? So suppose in India, it is a big market. We are 1.3 billion people in a whole, and the government, due to some reason, banned TikTok. And then there are a lot of small platforms which are coming up, which are maybe like TikTok. And in US also, if we talk about 2004, there were a lot of platforms which were into social media marketing. And then Facebook came up from those. MySpace was there, Orkut was also going on, and then other things were there. In the same way, TikTok also has their own competitors, or maybe YouTube has their own. So what is your strategy for the same, that how should we look at the platform as a marketer, or because always a new platform will take more efforts to understand how it goes. Platform will have its own way of communication. So something which the way people upload things on TikTok is not the way people upload things on maybe Facebook or Instagram. Now Reels is there because it is trying to copy TikTok. But what is your take on that?
So I love this question. I can give some really deep insight for the listeners on this particular one. Number one, for those who are saying TikTok, and it's for people under 14, it's not really cool. Let's rewind to 2012, Instagram. People were saying the same thing. It's just for teenagers, never going to scale. If you're in 2020 right now as a startup, as an established brand, as an SMB, just as a business professional, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have an Instagram account. Why? Because it's relevant and it's now. This is literally the same trend. If you want to bet, if you want to go back in time and you want to invest in Instagram, if we get the opportunity, it's literally the same pattern with TikTok, but at a major scale. It's jumped so significantly in comparison to Instagram. It's just crazy. That's why so many were trying to bid on it. So many. And so when we think at TikTok, it's not just about why is this working? Well, let's go back. Why has Facebook lasted this long? Besides acquisitions of other apps, and we're not going to talk about that, but y'all get my point. It's because it has the various mediums and everyone ease of use. When you think of Twitter, why has Twitter survived so long? Because of the micro blogging approach, just simple to the point copy. The same thing with TikTok, but with video. Now we're seeing, you have to entertain us. And I'm going to just disregard this for a minute that people are saying we have a shorter attention span. I call no. What now is Gen Z, millennials, all of us now, because we're so consumed by screens everywhere we look, we demand value every single second. If you can't give it to me, you're out of luck. Now everyone's trying to approach like a YouTube, hey, I got a 5-minute intro of here's my business, here's my portfolio, and no one's going to want to buy, no one's going to want to invest in your startup. It just won't work. When you look at why TikTok is so successful right now, and also why you're seeing Twitter have fleets, LinkedIn has stories, Instagram have stories, and they also have reels. Facebook have stories. Pinterest has a story feature. Spotify has a story feature for its artists. Why is stories taking over? Look at the psychology of the consumer. They want micro visual experiences in chunks. Get to the point, micro ads, micro conversations. The brands, the startups, the companies internationally that can convey their message and get people to buy in 15 seconds with just visuals, you're going to win the day because that's what the audience is telling you. And as marketers, particularly those who are in charge of growth, we either flow with the river or we drown. So, do you want to flow and adapt and see, okay, I may not know TikTok. I'm at least going to make a count and study the psychological habits of the consumers. So I know how to create the various decks to get new investors. So me as a company can know how to pitch to get those big clients, to get those big deals. For me as a consumer, if I'm doing B2C, to get the consumer base. This is what they demand. I need to pivot to make sure I'm in the right place at the right time. Now, how do I scale that for growth? If I know this is where things are going, either I'm going to create my own apps, my own technology, or create certain experiences or features that replicate that experience on my website, on my landing pages, and those micro experiences when you get them over into your apps or in the sales conversations, you're going to win the day a lot higher than someone who's still thinking, we're in the age of Facebook or shoot, even before that, the age of TV. It's shifting so much and the pace is going so fast. So those marketers who can be on top of the game. Let's compare TikTok to Parler, right? Parler showed up. Everyone's like, especially at least in the United States anyway, where it's kind of like if you're more conservative, now you need to go to Parler. Well, I'm telling you right now that that's going to flop. It's because it's not based on something tangible that consumers can really enjoy. TikTok is based literally on creatives. Those who are the most creative, those who put the most effort are going to literally win the day versus people who are trying to repurpose high polished videos from YouTube and trying to put it on TikTok. It won't work. This is the psychology of things that us as marketers, us as growth marketers, those who are execs of, financial and everything else need to understand, marketing is beyond just cute graphics, website UX, UI. You have to know the whole process because when you do, it's almost like when you think of an engineer, right? When I know the whole process, I can pinpoint, oh, that's where the pain point is. Let me fix that. I'm telling the right message on the website, when they go through my email funnel, when I get them on the call, something gets disconnected along the way when I send them the final pitch deck, when I'm in the meetings with them to sign the papers, they say, no, something is wrong. This is why growth marketing is higher level. And I get it, marketers, it's a little intimidating. This is not what we're used to being more responsible over the profitability and the revenue of a company. But you're the first person and you're the last interaction with every consumer and every possible PO that you're going to get. So you have to be more involved. And this is why looking at social media with this lens of growth and not just follower count, because it's all vanity. I can literally buy 1 million followers and get not 1% of them to buy my product, which is embarrassing. And you probably should just stop right now. When we look at social media now, where it's going, particularly with TikTok leading the way, it tells you how, it gives you the literal blueprint to grow.
Great. One thing which I just went through the conversation that we are having, and it just came into my mind was with the TikTok coming into picture. We had that discussion in the subcontinent a lot of times. That with TikTok coming into picture, I think a lot of people think it is democratized the whole thing where anybody can be a creator. So that has been there. Unpolished videos work there. People, it is like Vines were there. They were a 7 second thing. TikTok started with a 15-second thing. But at that time, Vines, maybe it was very early because the bandwidth was not so much for people to consume a lot of things. Elite group was there. So when it compares to Snapchat, Snapchat again has that elite group and it is not open to public, so people are not able to target and do those kind of things. TikTok, with the entry of TikTok, a lot of people feel that everybody and anybody can be on that platform. With my father, if he was using it, so it was very easy for him because he had to just log in on the app, or not even log in sometimes. So you get on the app and then you just swipe up. You don't have to do anything. You have to just swipe up, and then you get new content every time you swipe up. And the algorithm was good in that way. It is still going great. Do you feel that it has democratized content in that way that anybody can create and anybody can reach anybody? Because with Facebook, we have to first create pages, then we have to gain our followers, then it is shown to our followers, and then also the organic reach is around 1% now. I don't know if it is 1% also. It is just that they say it is 1%, 2%, and it does not reach people. Slowly and gradually, they try to kill the organic reach so that we pay to Facebook at the end of the day, and that is how they also make money and they are business in that way. Instagram also, the feed was different. So do you feel the TikTok feed will change in future, or maybe they will try to monetize it in any other way? Or do you feel the democratization of the content part, where everybody is a creator and their own, will just make more pressure on the marketers, because now they have to creatively out think a lot of people at the same time to just rank above or get the visuals or get the numbers that they want to. So
I think
what's your take on
one
that? Yeah.
I think number one, it will and it has. If you look at the pattern, Facebook 2006 to 2008, YouTube 2008 was like the golden year. It just
True.
broke everything apart. Instagram 2014 just broke everything apart.
Very true.
Twitter at its time broken everything apart. Everyone's getting their news in different ways and just making the shift where now every news company has to say their username, their handle. We announce people's names by their handles because of Twitter started that. And you just see the progression. So TikTok has broken all of this down where an average Joe that no one's ever heard of gets the right combination of timing, of visual, of originality, of uniqueness. Put that with a nice TikTok track that's maybe trending or something new, tie the emotion, boom, you just blow up. And now here it is. And then once they see the pattern, they can replicate it. I think now more than ever is the rise of the micro influencer, not a celebrity. Let me make that clear. Celebrity is basically going to have the blue check mark on every platform just because of something they do outside of the digital framework. Influencer is fully what they're doing on the platform itself. They're creating content, they're engaging, they're distributing. And so they're seeing that channel. And so the bigger brands who have the capital are saying, hey, I need to invest my dollars away from just traditional ads and invest in this person, this creator who has the voice, the heart. Remember, we're talking about the heart
Hi.
of it to maximize that growth. Now, if you're a startup, you're an SMB, you're an entrepreneur, you can literally replicate that same success at scale, being so nimble, and it almost doesn't cost you a cent. You send someone some shirts, you send them some swag, doesn't cost you a penny. You give it to a whole group who are on the rise. You can look at the metrics, you can look at the data, the views, and the engagement. And from there, select them, make a whole crew, distribute them, and tell them, hey, talk about this because you know your personas, you know your audience groups, you know your demographics, you know where their locations are. Tell them to do the legwork for you because they're going to create the content that's going to make you money. Not only money, but sustainable money, and also establish your brand at the same time. So when it does fade down, you just scaled up 20, 35% year on year end. And you're like, how did I do that? Simply by capturing what was trending, what was popular, using
True.
other folk to make the work. So sure, that may mean marketers, we don't have to do as much work on the creative side because we're partnering with a creator who has an in, who has literally an in on how to talk to your direct audience. I think this is the rise of the micro influencer, and it has disrupted the whole market. And I think this is a good thing because in theory, our cost to market is going to be lower.
Yeah.
And we're going to spend more money on just distribution of that content that we've created that we know has worked in a small pool. And we're going to go over here in New Delhi, we're going to go over here in Chicago, go over here in New York, and it's going to work the same way. You have that, and anyone who loves A/B testing, you're going to have this conversation because that's literally what TikTok and other platforms like it are allowing you to do now. And so I'm not afraid of it being so broken down now where a person, a nobody with 25 followers on TikTok and a celebrity with 5 million can have the same reach on any given day. I think
Yeah.
that's powerful. Now, to your other point of do I think TikTok is going to make a shift like Facebook has, like Instagram has, shoot, like Snapchat has to disrupt the algorithm and cause us to pay more with more ads? Right now, I don't think so because the growth is so big. It's so significant. And the viewing time on the app is so high. I just can't see them disrupting anything. They have a good thing going. I really think we won't even see a really big shift of them trying to monetize or make any modifications to probably 2022 or beyond that.
Okay. So we still have 2 more years till the time we dig that mine called TikTok for everybody who is listening. Uh, Another thing which just came into my mind while we were on that answer, one thing which people don't sometimes see or have that flair for, like you said, that micro influencers are there. We can give them free swags or gift them something and then they will do it. A lot of people in the initial days, I know of a brand which is called Herbalife. In a way, they started betting on people very early in their careers, and then they used to bet on around if a simple sport is there, suppose football is there, they used to bet on 20 people who are in under 19 league or under 17 league, and they knew that one of them will get successful of those 20. So they get a 10-year contract at a very cheap rate at that point, and then with 20 people one of them gets successful or maybe those kind, and then they get a lot of money out of those branding. Do you feel sometimes small brands can also do those kind of strategies where we have seen a lot of brands working with small time comedians because they know after a year or two they will shoot up, their videos will start working well, but currently nobody is sponsoring them. So let us get on that thing early and then try to get good eyeballs from our audience. So can this be a good growth hack for 2021 or beyond? Do you feel that is the trend, or this kind of things might work, or this won't work?
I think, local SMBs, small and medium sized businesses, this is your time because you're the businesses that the communities are closest to. You can reach people much quicker because you're nimble, you have a smaller teams than bigger brands. They have to go through so many more red tape,
Yes.
legalities. And like you said, there's such a larger disproportion of those on the top, even the Fortune 5,000 versus the SMBs and everyone who's outside of that market and that bubble. Anyone who's an up and coming artist, rapper, musician, creative of any type, designer, writer, just the micro and TikTok actor, they're going to lean toward the SMBs to give them their first shot because they can get any money quicker than trying to pitch up to the big leagues. They still to this day won't make the shift and they can't move as fast. The only thing that is preventing a lot of SMBs and local businesses to take advantage of this hack is unfortunately they themselves are still overworked. A lot of them are still trying to recover from COVID, depending on their industry and their
Yeah.
sector. A lot of them are just trying to get day by day. They're not thinking, oh, if I invest in this 6 months from now, I'll triple what I was making in 2020 and 2021. And that's hindsight, foresight, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's the holdup. I think for a lot of individuals right now in the small business market is that either they don't have the funds because COVID hit them so hard that they can't invest in the very community that can make them 10 times richer than they were right now, or they're still not sure because they are maybe stuck in their ways. Maybe they're not used to certain technologies. Maybe they're not moving as fast. But I think now is the rise of the SMB that on any given day, with just a simple TikTok or a simple reel or anything like that, you can get the scalability of a Fortune 100 company overnight. That to an SMB is hundreds, if not thousands upon thousands of dollars in revenue when you look at it for pennies on a dollar in ads. That's the brilliant thing. So it's just, if you're an SMB or your local business, you're listening, or if you're an entrepreneur or you're a startup, Series A, trying to get that money up, you
Yes.
might want to allocate some funds to this new game that we're playing. The chessboard has shifted. There's all new rules. There's all new players. Just because they have a blue check mark, don't mean they're going to get the same engagement. This is your time.
Great. Uh, the blue check mark thing. A lot of people have that perception of somebody who is a celebrity. We had that initially in the talk, that somebody who is doing something outside of the platform, that is why they have a blue tick mark on the platform or blue check mark. And it is not necessary that they would be able to gain the same kind of engagement which somebody who is on the platform and creating content every day. So we have a lot of YouTube creators which create videos every day. We have a lot of vloggers who are there, and then we have some film stars which are on the platform. Maybe their subscriber number is big, but then the number of views, video views on daily basis which they get is not so much. The kind of engagement or one-to-one conversation that people have is not the same, because if Tom Cruise is on Twitter, there won't be a two-way conversation with Tom Cruise, that is for sure. So he will be just using it as his press release kind of thing, where he comes, he says something, new trailer is there, new movies there, new updates are there, he will be sharing that. But when a micro influencer turns into influencer, or a YouTuber who is on Twitter, it will be a lot of two-way conversation, and people feel like, oh yeah, I am talking to a guy and not to a celebrity in that way. He's somebody whom I know. I have been following him for last 2 years, 3 years, and those kind of things. So, how do you see? Are brands able to see that thing in the 2020s and 2019? Are they able to realize that putting so much money on a celebrity sometimes in the online world, maybe for the digital, or maybe I think for the billboard advertisements, or maybe for newspaper, it still works, because you need a face to attract, in the whole
Right.
clutter of a newspaper, you still need a face to attract. But when it comes to a mobile screen, do you feel that is effective for, as a brand, to have a very big celebrity who is endorsing your product, or rather they can now slowly gradually shift to these micro influencers or influencers who have grown on the platform?
It's kind of to the question of, would you rather have one duck the size of a horse or 100 horses the size of a duck? And I'll take the latter, because that gives me security and I can have a wider net of touch points. When I have one big celebrity, I have all my eggs in one basket. And I'm banking on that this person, with just his namesake alone, will attract the right audience, not only to my community to just knock on the door, but join the community, and not just do that either, but to buy my product, my service, whatever I'm selling consistently at a high enough market that's going to make me a profit every quarter. That's a lot to ask. Versus take the same amount of money I've invested in this big celebrity and I distribute that same exact amount of money to micro influencers. That means I have, from going from an army of one to an army of 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, depending on the scalability, the price, and all that stuff. If I got a TikTok person who is consistently creating content with maybe, let's say, 10,000, because that allows you to get a live. So let's say each one has 10,000 followers. And I do that across the entire globe. I'm going to reach more people. And I'm willing to bet I'm going to have a higher ROI and a higher chance to make double on in profit than I would having one celebrity on TikTok. Guaranteed. The numbers would back me up on this. Why? Because, like you said, if I'm growing with this person when they're nobody and they're creating content every day, okay, I know this person, I know this person, I know this person. Now they become celebrity status. To me, it's like, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's family. I know this person. So I still don't see this person with the celebrity, no matter how much money they make, how much fame they get. That's why when you saw the rise of YouTubers from 2008 to now, when they're the ones in the movies, they're the ones in Hollywood and Bollywood and doing all these different things because they've rose up the ranks. We're attached to them differently than we were people who just started right in movies, because we've watched them grow. That investment, so that clout is there. And so that's more valuable, which means that's more profitable as well. So knowing that, celebrities, I'm not saying that they still can't have their day. A lot of celebrities have made the shift and have adapted and have blown up and have had the same power on the digital as TikTok and other platforms as they did outside of the digital world. But that's not everyone. You're seeing too many celebrities who are struggling. So if you're a brand, if you're a startup, if you're an entrepreneur, you might want to pivot. If you want to look at the celebrities who would be your target demographic by age, by likeness, by how much money they have, by how their buying tendencies, look at that and let's compare that to the same group with micro influencers. And I'm begging you to differ. When you look at the data, the ones with the micro influencers are just going to be a smoother path to your bottom line and your success.
Great point on that. That these YouTubers or these celebrities are now slowly getting into Hollywood and Bollywood kind of thing. And one more thing, which I feel that a lot of people are emotionally also involved with them. Like you said,
Yes.
that yeah, he is my brother or he's a family and those kind of things, because the journey part has been with them. Uh, as we are coming to the end of the podcast now, and most it was a great conversation in the first place. A lot of new things to understand and know. I usually have two questions for everybody, which are number one is we are in a field where things shift drastically every 1 year, 2 year, the whole digital marketing space. Normally, we both have been into engineering and we know things don't change. If we are studying calculus, it is the same, which if my father did engineering, he also studied the same thing, right? Yeah. And then if you are into civil engineering also, or maybe architecture or things like that, the basics remain same and things don't change at a speed which is into social media marketing or digital marketing space. uh, what is the thing which helps you keep up with the whole thing, and what is your hack into understanding that this is a new trend, or how do you get to know this is working new, or these are the new features, let us try this? Because a lot of people on Instagram or TikTok or those kind of things always say something new is there, do try that out, because TikTok will try to promote that feature,
Right.
so that people see that feature. And if you are in the early adopters kind of space, you will always gain more views. Same ways, for if something is new in stories, do try to use that thing, because Instagram is going to promote that story to everybody or trying to push that to more audience. So but how, how do we know that this is what is new today, and what is your hack for the same? How do you get to know this?
So if you're listening, you're probably wondering, like me, like, yo, how am I gonna get that growth marketing I need to make the money I want in 2020? Give me the secret hack.
Yeah.
I don't have it for you, but I will tell you this, and I can tell you by data, and I can also tell you by just the human trait, the sociology, psychology of it is just back to just how we think. So if you take the tangible, the technology, the data analytics aspect, and you combine that with the human aspects and put all that together, you're gonna have a powerful concoction to make that blueprint necessary for growth. When I'm looking at TikTok, and again, I was kind of the theme of the conversation, and I'm trying to think of scalability. The function of we're conditioned now to just scroll endlessly. That tells me in the back of my mind, I need to talk to my developers that when I'm going to my website, I'm creating a micro experience. It doesn't need to have any tabs. I need to have a full immerse scrolling experience. Why? Because the audience is already conditioned.
True.
So I can already take that, implement that on my new website, my new landing page, different ads that I'm running, drive into those different experiences, remove everything else, and just have an endless scroll. You see that all the time with Instagram. They get you on a good hook with a video or a graphic. You go there and it's just an endless scroll. And if your executive staff is like, no, I want to have a traditional website, show them TikTok, show them the data. TikTok is conditioning where we're going. And so that's kind of like an end to say, I need to modify a new landing experience to have an endless scroll where each scroll fits the mobile AMP first, fits everything in a visual way, is fast loading, it makes sense, it's simple text, but it keeps me engaging. The longer they're scrolling, the longer I have a chance to basically get the money, to get them as a customer long term and keep it moving. Also, when you're thinking about even subscriptions, tying in that to subscriptions, the subscription model has blown up. We're conditioned
True.
Disney Plus, Spotify, all these different things now. We're moving away from just cable. The joy for startups, for founders, for businesses trying to get that new edge. When you're pushing that
Retain.
subscription model and it's just under enough where they're not thinking about it psychologically, they're going to stay paying your money. So that means you can go out for more people paying less all at one time, but you're making double, triple, quadruple the profit month on month and scale. So now your investors are going to be all happy, your founders are going to be happy, and your growth is going to be immense. That's tying in. That's how growth marketing is going to work. So my hack to you all: look at how they always say you got to be the first there. So if you were the first marketer, the first brand to TikTok, you're probably not always going to be successful. I don't need to be the first one on the new social media platforms or trends. I need to be among the first to understand the trends, to understand how it works. So as an engineer, we can re-engineer that to fit it to what I want to do to funnel it. That's really the hack. The hack is just understanding how the consumer is engaging and responding. I can literally replicate that in messaging and visuals and color scheme. If we know that certain TikTokers, or just in general how TikTok is branding itself in the visuals when people are looking at it, look at the certain filters that TikTok offers. I should take that visual concept and put it over to my images. I bet you when you look at it, you're going to see a growth by at least 3.7%, if not more, every each time you're doing. You're conditioning them to see, because it represents and mirrors what they know, what they associate. And again, those four E's, that last one being emotion. I'm tapping into the human emotion, coupled with psychology, coupled with data. That's how you grow.
I think that's a wonderful take on understanding the thing which I asked. Because most of the people say you read things and do that thing. And then I think it is a wonderful answer for the question that I have at the end of the podcast mostly. Uh, One more question, which
No
is the
problem.
last one, and we will end it after that, is one thing which keeps you going in a way as a person, and which always has helped you. So something which for me it has always been hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard. Usually it's not just about quotes, but a philosophy which you have embedded in your life or in the way you are working, so that it's good for your clients, it's good for what you are doing, it's good for the society in the first place. And what is that thing which keeps you going, or what is your philosophy to keep going? Because a lot of stress is there with work from home. A lot of things are just coming in. Most of the people are emotionally drained a lot of times around us. So what is that something which keeps you going?
That's a great question. I have this like marketing philosophy, right? It's called imagination, the engine, content is the fuel, social media is the highway, market is the roadmap, sales is the destination, and culture is the GPS. That's the boundaries of how I look at marketing and just growth, but also just it's a part of myself in there. And I think as a former engineer, as a current marketer in 2020, is just that drive. Like you just want that next level of success, but at the same time, you're content with the journey. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so for me, I think what motivates me is really impact. If you're seeing the trends now, the companies that are also doing the best, they're not only just telling us the best stories, they're tying the best stories and the revenue that they're generating to social good. And so for me, my talent, my superhero ability, the way I'm programmed and wired to do the things that I do, continue to learn, and the passion all comes together, allows me the opportunity to help my clients, to support bigger brands, to make an impact. And if you have that in hindsight, and I say, hey, Troy, if you don't finish this project today, you're not going to be able to help this nonprofit, this NGO, who in turn won't be able to feed, 5,000 new youngins this year or this quarter. And that could be for anything. This technology to help people through COVID, this technology to help students learn. Your product or service, no matter what it is making a positive impact for somebody times however many people you have as your customer. So if you think of just the impact of me, I need to be on my A game. Me, I need to be constantly trending, study the trends, studying what is going on in my industry. A, because I love it. B, because I'm passionate about it. C, because if I'm good at it, I'm going to get paid what I'm deserved eventually. And once you get more money, that eases a lot of stress It doesn't solve everything, but it eases a lot of pain points as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as a business, as a brand. So when I tie that back into impact, that's stronger than money. Because if COVID kicked my can and blew up my agency, blew up my startup right now, it didn't destroy my mechanics, my ability to think the way that I think. So what? My startup didn't work because COVID wiped it clean off the face of the earth. That means it led to a whole new opportunity of a new pathway that no one's ever discovered yet. And because the same mechanics and technology and understanding that you have as your own being, you can now go get it. So it's just having that confidence to know that in yourself, that you no one has the molecular mechanics and abilities that you do. The experiences, all that's combined there. So no matter what, if COVID took your job, if you're trying to do a new startup, if you're making a shift from regular marketing to growth marketing, or whatever the pivot may be, you have it innate in you to be successful. And that's what drives me too, is that impact.
Great conversation that we had today. And the final part, which I felt a lot, was everybody has their own journey, the answer that you give for that. And the experience that you have in your journey is not something which anybody else would be having, because you have your own 28, 30 years, or whatever your age is. Suppose my age is 28. So I will have my own 28 years of experience on this earth, which will be maybe very unique in that way, and that might drive me to do whatever things which I want to do in my life. Thanks a lot, Troy, for doing
Thank
this
you for
with
having
us.
me.
It was a great time, and thank you very much.
Appreciate it.